Hi, friend. So, I haven't always been someone who was grounded or centered. As a child and even well into my adult years, I was quite high strung. I found it hard to relax, especially in my mind. Even when I had 2 hours, say 2 hours to prepare for something, I would worry and wonder, is that enough time? Am I going to make it? Instead of settling out to do the work, I'd let worry paralyze me and then I get nothing done. Do you sometimes feel this way? Today, I want to talk about what it looks and feels like to have an uncluttered soul, to stop being constantly in motion in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirits, to stop chasing things we think we don't have, only to find we've always had right there within us what we need. Like Emily Freeman says, to begin practicing the unforced rhythms of grace. So these days, I've learned how to center myself, to focus on what needs to be done right in front of me, instead of worrying about everything else. I've learned to shut out the noise so I can hear myself and honestly hear God and honor the direction He's leading me in. So, welcome to another episode of the Driven Introvert podcast. Today, I'm diving into another chapter of Emily P. Freeman's book called The Next Right Thing. This one is pretty chill, so let's get into it. You're listening to the Driven Introvert podcast, the place to be for dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs who are ready to birth the dreams, callings, and ideas the Lord has placed in their hearts. Do you sense that God is calling you to step out and do something new, but you're held back by fear and uncertainty? Do you struggle with believing that you can do great things because of your quiet, reserved, and introverted nature? Welcome here. I'm Remy Roy, your host and founder of shepacked.com. I'm an author, an entrepreneur, a creative, and a committed trier. I'm here to help you get unstuck and make progress on your God idea. Let's go. A few years ago, I decided I wanted to purge my life and my heart of anything that wasn't helpful. I know that's a broad category, but I knew exactly where I wanted to start, and that's what? Media. I decided to cut down on how much TV I watched. I stopped consuming so many movies and shows. Why did I do that? Because I wanted my mind to be free. I realized it was not. One of the first things I dropped was TV series. Because remember back in the day, you'd watch an episode of like a TV show and you have to wait a whole week for the next one. That was already tough because my mind was just continuing the story. I would put the plot together. What did the character do next? I would think about it all week, especially if it was a show that I really, really loved. Those telenovelas, oh my gosh, right? But now with streaming, you can just keep going. You can keep watching and keep watching. You can even skip the intro. And before you know it, 5 or 10 hours are gone on watching TV. So I realized this is not healthy for me. So as a rule, I don't watch shows anymore. I also reduced how much news and information I consumed. I realized that the news triggered anxiety for me. And when your mind already struggles to settle, adding more noise is definitely a recipe for disaster. So this means I'm not always up to date on current events, and that's okay. I have made peace with that because my peace of mind is a higher priority for me, especially in this season of life. I realized that what I needed was peace. I needed to feel peace. I needed to know and experience peace. I needed to be peaceful. And to do that, I had to make space in my soul for the life I actually wanted to live. Intentionally. There's a quote from Emily's book. She says, and I quote, "When I'm constantly in motion, my body rehearses anxiety rather than practicing the unforced rhythms of grace." Ironically, when we stop chasing something we think we don't have, we often find what was always there. I don't want to be that person who's too overwhelmed to move, to chase my dreams, to love people well, to pay attention, to be present. No, I want to be equipped to always be ready to do my next right thing, no matter what area of life we're talking about. So I decided I needed to prioritize, right? To get there, I had to start removing things that didn't belong so that I could focus on what did belong in my life. So it's always a good question to ask, where do we go from here? The only place available to us is now. right now. We go to now, this moment, this season. I love that in this book, Emily shares a practical way to stay grounded in the now. And it has helped me so much, especially when I have a running to-do list. I have client projects, I have work, I have family, I have so many errands to do, like just stuff to do. And a mind that just wants to wander all the time. This is the reason why ebooks don't work for me. Like I would be listening, I should say audiobooks, not ebooks. I would be listening to an audiobook and 20 minutes in, I realized I'm not even listening anymore. Like my mind is far away. So I had to make some decisions in my life. How do I keep things simple? I'm not someone who thrives with tech-based time management tools. It doesn't work for me. So I keep a simple paper notebook where I write down my priorities. But even then, some things just stick in your mind and won't let go. Like you keep thinking about one thing over and over and you start to worry and spiral. And I have to train myself not to do that. There's a practice in the book that Emily shares, and she says, take one overwhelming thought that sends you spiraling into the future, right? And turn it into a question, and then add the word today. Here's an example. So she says she was thinking about her girls starting high school in the fall, and she was worried. It was kind of nagging at her, and she kept wondering, are we ready? Did I forget something? Are we going to make it? Whatever. She turned that thought into a question. It says, are my girls starting high school today? If the answer is no, then she can set that thing aside. If the answer is yes, or maybe it's close, the deadline for when she needs to do things for that thought is close, then she can think, okay, so what is the next thing I can do right now about this situation? This simple shift really helps me release anxiety, especially when it comes to work. I'm currently preparing for a beta test with Podground. People are coming into the platform we're building, and I've been worried, to be honest with you. Will it be ready? Will it work? Will it break? Will people have good experience? All of those kind of things. So here I use that practice. And I ask myself every time as we're working on this, are people coming onto the platform today? Right? If no, we have time. If yes, or maybe they're coming in the next 1 week, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 1 month, well, what can I do today? Right? What can I do right now about this issue? And it's helped me. It's brought me peace. It shifts me from spiraling into taking decisive action instead of just worrying and worrying and worrying. So I can check with my team and say, okay, where are we with this? Where are we with that? I can go through our task list and make sure that everything is complete on my end. I can do things that move me forward instead of just sitting in my head and worrying about everything. Do you experience this? Here's a challenge for you, a practical thought for you. If you are like me, if you are an introvert, maybe you are shy, maybe sometimes shy, maybe you are uncertain, maybe you are overwhelmed, maybe you just have a strong desire to live a life that matters, but sometimes you don't feel like you quite have a grasp on things. My challenge for you is this. If you find yourself spinning, you know how you would go to, say, the library and say, today I'm going to focus on doing 3 tasks and I'm going to finish it. But somehow you can't focus. You get to the library, you have everything you need to do the work, but you're distracted. If that's you, then this practice is for you. You cannot do it all, but you can do the next right thing. To take one thing, ask those questions. What can you do right now? And then focus, tunnel vision on doing that thing. I love the title of this chapter in the book. It is Stay in Today. I love how simple that is. Be calm, be centered, be quiet, pay attention, and focus. These are like my mantras. Emily ends that chapter with a practice like she always does. And I'd like to share the general idea with you. Stop on purpose. Be alert. Be attentive. Be receptive to what God is doing in and for you. Let this moment be a speed bump in your day, in your busy day. Let it be a moment of calm. I know it's sometimes hard to find that moment of calm, especially when life is busy, you have people, responsibilities, bills, work, and then you have to still be passionate about stuff and pursue dreams and goals. It can feel like a lot. But the only answer that I have for you is start where you are. The only place you can go to is right now, in this moment. So pay attention to that. Do the best that you can in this moment. Because really, that's the best you can do. You know how the Bible says you don't worry about the future. Let tomorrow worry about itself. That doesn't mean you're not prepared. That doesn't mean you don't do what you need to do. But as far as it lies within your power, focus on what you can do today. That's where most of your energy should lie. So if you're that introspective person and you want to grow into the best version of yourself, pay attention to your mind and your body. Are you at rest? Or are you constantly in motion, mentally or physically? Start by asking, what is required of me today? What is one thing I can do today to meet that obligation without adding worry or anxiety about the future? That's your challenge. That's your challenge from me to you. I hope you take it. And I would love to hear from you. How might you apply this in your own life? What would it look like for you to truly stay in today instead of worrying about tomorrow? You guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time. And if you want to talk to me, if you want to ask a question, connect with me or just chat, email me at thedrivenintrovert@shepack.com. Whatever you do, stay in today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this conversation, please take a moment to follow or subscribe to the podcast. I'd also love your feedback on this episode. You can scroll down on your app and click write a review. I'd love to read your takeaways from this conversation. As always, don't forget to take courage, trust God, and go pursue your big ideas. See you next time. The Driven Introvert is produced by shepack.com and Remy Roy. Want to ask a question or share a comment on a future episode? Click on the link in the show notes to record your question in a voicemail.